Hello everyone, it's Andrew from Gem TCG here, and in today's video I'll be talking about how ETBs perform compared to booster boxes and whether or not they are a good investment to make. And I'll be looking at all of the sets from Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet. I don't want to go too far to like Sun and Moon and XY era because those prices are very volatile because they are like there's not a lot of inventory available, so the market prices aren't very precise. So I'll just be focusing on Sun and or Scarlet Violet and Sword and Shield. And the reason I bring this up today is because I was looking at a few ETB sets that I was interested in. And what I mean by ETB sets are like the specialty sets. So Prismatic Evolutions, 151, Paldean Fates, Shining Fates, Crown Zenith, sets like that, not just literally ETBs. And I'm bringing this video up today because I was curious like how these sets perform because there are a few sets that I'm interested in buying, like specialty sets. So I wanted to see how they perform before I make that investment. And I also want to buy some to sell to the patrons that are interested in the or that are in the sealed product tier because they get a discount. So I want to get more inventory for those people. And speaking of which, I do have a Patreon where I sell sealed product and collections at a discount. And I also offer one on one help with calls and just texting and chatting, whatever you prefer. So feel free to join that. The link is in the description. So for this video, I will be going from every single specialty set and looking at how the market prices are today and what the retail price of it was when it first came out. And I will be looking at a select few booster boxes. I don't want to look through like every single booster box because it would just take way too long because there's a lot more booster box sets than there are specialty sets. So I picked some sets that were around the time of the specialty set. So like Lost Origin came out in between Crown Zenith and Pokemon Go, or it was like around that area. So I picked that. I did Darkness Ablaze because it came out right before Champion's Path, stuff like that. So I picked sets that were around the same time period. So that way it's like a somewhat similar comparison, even though it is hard to make a direct comparison because like Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike came out right during the celebrations time. And those two sets are just like extremely expensive and it's hard to make a direct comparison. So the main focus is just the specialty sets and how they perform. I'm gonna make a comparison just like if you guys are interested, so you could see the numbers. But the main takeaway is gonna be how the specialty sets perform as is. So let's look at the numbers right now. So the first set or specialty set from the Sword and Shield era was Champion's Path, and this one had a special Charizard. It was like the shiny Charizard V, and it was a pretty cool set, but it didn't perform as good as like I would have expected it considering it has that card. I think it did get scalped in the beginning because this was when like Pokemon was starting to boom, so these were going for a very expensive price. But let's just look at the prices. So currently it is at 121.69 for the market price. And the retail on ETBs from the Sword and Shield era were $40. So that is a 3 times increase if you were to buy it at retail. I'm not going to be looking at like what the market price was when it first came out, but just go off MSRP just for like comparison's sake. It makes it a lot easier. So Champion's Path came out, I believe, like 4 years ago, and it saw a 3 times increase from its MSRP, which is pretty good. Like a three x return in a 3 to 4 year span is very high. So Champion's Path did very well. Next, let's look at Shining Fates. Now, this one had a very high print run because when it first came out, it was getting scalped and resold for like a very high price. And then Pokemon did a reprint. I think they did a lot of reprints. So it really crushed the market value of this set. Still a great set, has a lot of good cards in it, but it is currently at $86.58 market price, so only a 2 times increase, which is good, but it's not like as good compared to the other sets that came out. And if we look at the next one, Celebration. Now this one is a very specialty set because it was the 25th year anniversary set, and these sets only come out in 5 year increments. I believe there's like Generations, and then I'm not sure if there was another one before then, but this one is kind of like a oddball compared to the other ones. But it is worth 150 today, and the market price or the MSRP was $40. So that's again like a almost a 4x increase from when it first came out, which is very good. And it looks like it's actually going up more recently. But Celebrations did very well, especially for being such a small set. But it did have a lot of like good cards, and it had a Charizard in there as well. And actually, this might have been $50 MSRP. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think because it had 10 booster packs with 5 additional booster packs, I think it might have been actually more. I forgot that it even had extra booster packs. Oh, because the celebrations packs were only 4 cards, so it was a lot smaller. So yeah, comment down below what the price was MSRP for the celebrations ETBs. And then the next one, Pokemon Go, this one was a heavily disliked set. It had Mewtwo V alt, and that was pretty much it. It did have a 2 rainbow rares, Dragonite and Mewtwo, but people didn't really like this set, and it shows in the market price, like only $75, and it's been out for like 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. I would say 2 years actually. But yeah, this one, it's only $75. So only seeing like a 1.5 times return, which is not good compared to the other set. So let's look at Crown Zenith. Now, Crown Zenith, this one is probably the best specialty set of the bunch, like of the last 2 blocks, because it has that Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery set within it. And people just really like those cards. It had those gold rares for Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. It also had the Evolution cards and the Raikou, Suicune, and Entei cards. So lots of good cards in this set, which explains why it has such a high market price. It's at 160. I think this was around the time where they did the increase on the MSRP. So I think this one was like $50 for an ETB. I could be wrong, but it's around that price. So this is another 3x increase in a probably 2 year span. I think this set came out 2 years ago. So that is a very good return. And then this was also the last one from the Sword and Shield block. So next we are talking about Scarlet Violet, which is the 151 ETB. And this set was very slept on when it first came out. Like, I'm not sure if you could, yeah, 1 year ago, it was $68. And also another thing, the ETBs from Scarlet Violet, I think they're going for like 55 is the MSRP or 60. So they're a lot more expensive compared to Sword and Shield era. But even still, this one, let's just say 55. It's currently at 232, and it's only been out for like a year and a half or 2 years. So the 151 ETB is very good, and it did very well, especially this year. And it had a 4x increase almost. Then we look at Paldean Fates. This one is doing a lot better than its Sword and Shield counterpart of Shining Fates. It's currently at 145. So this one saw like a 2 to 3x increase in the past year. And then if we look at Shrouded Fable, now this one, similar to Pokemon Go, not very liked. Doesn't have many good cards in it, I guess, which is why the price is very low. And it's only at $57 market price. So I think that's might even be below MSRP, or it's like at MSRP. So there would have been basically no return if you were to buy this at MSRP. And then if we look at Prismatic, now this one, again, a big favorite. It's currently down, but it's at 110 market price. And this one has all the evolutions. It did get like bought out in the beginning. Look at it went up to 150 when it first came out. So this one, again, if you were to buy it at MSRP, you would see like a 2x return, and it's only been out for less than a year, like 8 months, I think, which is pretty crazy to see that price increase. So overall, looking at all these ETBs, they do see a good increase, and it really heavily depends on the quality of the set, which is a common theme for all sets, specialty or not. If it doesn't have good cards in it, it usually won't go up in price. And especially if it has a low or high print run, if it has a high print run, it will struggle to go up in price because there's so much supply. But if it's short printed, then it will see a spike in price very easily compared to like if there's a high supply. And just for quick reference, looking at the booster boxes from Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet, I'm only picking 5, as you can see here. Darkness Ablaze, 236 is the current market price, which is not a 2x increase, but it's like almost a 2x increase. And if you were to look at Champion's Path, similar theme with like Charizard card. Obviously, not as good of a hit in this card compared to in this set compared to Champion's Path, but still something. And this one hasn't seen a complete 2x increase, even though it came out in a similar time period. And then if we look at Brilliant Stars, now this one came out in between like Celebrations and Pokemon Go. I didn't want to pick Fusion and Evolving Skies because those ones are just super expensive and they're hard to compare. But Brilliant Stars is more fair to look at, even though it came out a few months later. But this one's currently at 430, which is almost a 3x increase from, actually, I think it's pretty much a 3x increase from that time period. So in a 3-year span, it went up 3x. So that is very good. And I personally think it had a very good set list, but a lot of people disagreed and were very like hesitant to buy it, which explains this huge spike. Like it was 292 a few months ago. And I made a video actually like around this time period saying I was going all in. If you look back at like one of my original videos, I was talking about how this set was severely underpriced, and it turned out to be true because it went up double in this year. It went up 2 times the price. So that's another one. Lost Origin, a great set again, came out in between Pokemon Go and Crown Zenith. And this one is $540, which is almost like a 4x increase from when it first came out. So that's like a huge price increase from only like a 2 to 3 year span. And then looking at the Scarlet Violet sets, Twilight Masquerade came out last year, I believe, and it's currently at 240. So around like a 50% increase in price, which is pretty good for being like around a year or two old. And then the last one we'll look at is Surging Sparks. So this one came out and it got like heavily bought out, but then it started to get sold off, which explains why it's at 217 now compared to 266 at its peak. But even still, another like 40 or 50% increase from MSRP. So, in short, ETBs do perform pretty well, and it heavily depends on the quality and the supply available. Now, if you were to compare it to booster boxes, there's a higher chance and higher ceiling for booster boxes to go up in price because they're just more rare. Because booster boxes are not sold at big box retailers like Target and Walmart, whereas ETBs are sold everywhere. You can find them online at a local card store, Target, Walmart, anywhere you think of, you could find ETBs. But booster boxes are a lot more rare in supply, which explains why the price goes up so much. So even though a specialty set can have huge cards like in Prismatic Evolutions, like this has multiple cards above $400 or $300, yet it's only 115 or 112 because there's just a lot more easily accessible quantity. Like even if you look right here, current quantity 2,979. When you look at Surging Sparks, quantity available 517. And if you look at the sales in the last 6 months, 6,396 sold. For Prismatic in the last year, 21,900 sold. So there's just a lot more quantity available of these ETBs because of what I mentioned earlier. And I know it sounds like I'm comparing ETBs in general to booster boxes, but I'm mainly focusing on the specialty sets, not the regular ETBs of these. Like, I don't know what the direct name of these are, but like standard sets, I think is what they're called. But overall, specialty sets can still be a good investment, especially if it is a good set and there's a big set list. Like if you get a very small set list, then people aren't going to be opening the packs. They'll rather just like buy the cards to complete their collection because it's a lot easier that way and cheaper. But if it's a big set list, lots of hits, lots of cool cards that people like, and a low print run, specialty sets do very well. But if they get printed a lot and it's a very short printed set or like small amount of cards in the set, then it will struggle to go up in price. But that's about it for this video. Hope you guys found it helpful or insightful. And comment below what your thoughts are on like if you think specialty sets are a good investment or if you think it is a bad investment. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.